my tape was stopped. So now let's just continue straight on. So I have experienced being in the stillness, being in various places that are surrounded by nature, and having different entities, different particles come forward in the forms, many different forms. Some take the shape of animals. It can be alien figures. There can be fairy figures, faces, human faces. They will come through that quantum field, and they will allow you to see that the potential for their existence is in existence in the quantum field. And if you can see these formations that will produce and come forth, it's a mingling of dimensions. It's a time for information to be shared in each other's field. So they will pass on information to you in that quantum field at that moment, in that time. They will give you information. And then when you leave that moment and you go back into your job or your life or whatever, you'll have received information. Now it's up to you to act on it. When we want to determine who it is that we are, clues are given to us along our path. So the unfolding and the unfolding of who it is that you are comes in waves, and then it comes back. Information of who the truth of who you are comes in waves, and then it comes back, because you have to come back, because you're in the quantum field, and then you come out of the quantum field back into this field. And that's it's I guess, would I say, it's impossible to maintain that vibrational frequency and be in constant receptivity of the quantum potential that exists on a constant basis. It's just you get higher and higher and higher. You couldn't maintain that frequency. It's very hard to maintain that frequency, and you can be there for a while, receive the information, but then you've got to come down. And the reason you have to come back to where we are in time-space is because that information will now start an integration process into your body, so that you are able to take that information, and now you have the thoughts that were given to you, and now it's up to you to act on that or not. But it's how you enter into the quantum field that determines the information that you receive. And how I hope to prove that is by this example. I have been receiving quantum information, and the unfolding process for me started in 1993, when I had a supernatural experience that altered me. It was the infinite presence that came onto me and shifted my perspective, took me out of where I was physically and put me in a new field. And I walked around in that quantum field for 3 weeks while I was introduced to the concept that I was Christ, I was God, I was the God representative here on earth. And that experience was too much for me. It was too much energy. I mean, I loved it when I was in it. I wake up every day and I go, oh, it's still here, this energy. And it kept feeding me information. It kept feeding me more and more information. But for me, it became, well, how can I explain this to somebody who's going to hear this? How can I'm in this incredible journey. I'm in this awareness, and I can't get anyone to share this with me. They don't know. They can't understand what's going on for me. And it, to the point where I was given the information, I was a gift from God. I was God's gift to the planet. The official hope of the world. That information was given to me during this high period of time. After I received all this download of much information, I asked to have the energy removed, because I could not function like everybody else. So it did leave. And there's a great story to that, but I'm not going into that now. What I want to share with you, at that moment, I was given the first quantum awareness that I was the Christ. I was the God, I was God on earth, a gift from God. And I have spent, since 1993, up to date, trying to prove this and trying to understand what happened to me. And this is usually what will call you into investigating this. I feel I'm a spiritual explorer. I have a scientific mind. I want to know. I keep digging till I get to the root, and I want to know why. And I never stopped asking why, and I never stopped pursuing this. And as you can tell, I'm so passionate about this life I've spent and the journey that I've been on. And it wasn't until I started watching David Bohm, right? Is that? And he's smiling now. That I was able to put everything together so I could understand fully what it is and who I am, coming into the awareness of who I am and why it is that I can observe God in everyone I see. I have to be God to do that. I have to be in the realization that I am the God particle, and that's a great way of saying it, and David agrees. And that's it. We're gonna go into he's telling me to go into his 52 paper, and when he's talking about how can a particle be part of the plasma. So we're looking at the plasma and metals, and it's like how can a single particle be part of the whole and yet be separate? And the answer is if it's the original particle. It is the particle from which all other particles came from and left and siphoned off from. They were born of it. They came from that original particle. So you could say I'm Eve. And that Eve part of me gave birth to all these atoms, to all these electrons. They're all part of myself. From this particle, they all came from this particle that is in me. And so how you recognize that you are the one particle in the many, David, help me here, is that there comes a point in the folding and unfolding of the process that you're in where you become isolated. In other words, all the particles that you've touched, all the people in your life, everyone that you've come to know, everything and everyone starts to leave your field. And your field becomes an isolated vacuum. You become the vacuum. Your field dissipates till there's no other individual that can vibrate at the frequency that you are at. You are alone in your frequency vibration. You are at such a high elevation of vibrational frequency, nothing can see you, touch you, or you become invisible. You become invisible to the whole, but you become free. You become free of the attachment of everyone else around you. And in this way, you're able to ascend. In this way, you are able to move on to the next field. So I am a living experiment. And as we speak right now, still living. However, the amazing things that have happened over the last little bit, I'm going to do my best. I've been probably in another video to try and release what it is that I have discovered. But again, it's the unfolding and the folding of the awareness that you are given in the quantum field of who you are. And I have spent so much time having miracle after God. I'm going to use the God word. Let's say the infinite potential in the quantum field. The quantum potential has visited me again and again and again and again, and reminding me and constantly reminding me of who I am. And I draw this God particle draws to it experiences to validate who it is, to validate its truth, to validate the reality that this is actually happening to you. And it will constantly bring you people that will mirror your good, but they're unable to see or recognize you unless they have that reach that quantum potential themselves. Now, some people, that is why some people will watch this video and they'll get it. They'll go, "Oh my God, I get it." And other people will go, "Well, what's she's talking about?" It's they are unable to receive information from the quantum field because they do not sit and give themselves time to be in it, to hear it, and you must go into it and listen. And that's the key as well. Okay, so we're talking about unfoldment, and David, help me here. I'm just going to pause for a minute and let me hear what he's wanting to tell me. Very good, he's saying. You're doing good. You're doing great. Okay, what is it that, something about, okay, do you want me to read that? Okay. So yesterday, when I was outside, I had an incredible experience where I was able to be conscious of what was happening to me. I'm going to do the best I can to explain it. I'm sitting outside and I am writing and reading, and I received this information in the quantum field. And as I was sitting receiving this information, I saw a picture of Christ came to me with a donkey, with an ass, standing there saying, I got your ride, you ready to go? And I'm going, oh my God, what does this mean? Like, I'm seeing these particles, this vision in my third eye, like presenting itself in front of me. It's in my mind seeing it. It's not showing up in the physical form. It's in my observational field. I'm seeing this. And he's standing there saying, I've got your ride, you're ready to go. So that's Christ coming for his bride. That's Christ coming from his soul half, his twin flame, his original particle. The Adam's coming for the Eve. The Ra is coming for the Isis to unite with the L. So this coming together of the quantum God particle, this is what's happening on an individual representation, but I represent the whole. In other words, it all that matters is that I am the observer and I can observe what's happening. And because I have the ability to observe what's happening in the quantum field, everything in the quantum field is uniting around this joining of the male and female God particle at this time. And this union will produce ascension for the planet. And this is what I received yesterday, that we ask so this will correct our thoughts and actions of carrying out this new pattern download will be gratitude. So start with gratitude. And that I would ask now is to please reinstate new pattern. Please reinstate knowing that I have been misprogrammed for the area of eating correctly. When I arrived here, the program that was the patterning that was put in me was a bad pattern. It didn't suit me. It was unhealthy pattern, but it was implanted in me at childbirth. So this pattern has continued through my life, and it's a program within me. So now I'm going to ask Father God. I'm going to ask the all that is, the quantum field, and those that are hearing me and able to assist in any way to reinstate a new pattern of eating within me so that I eat healthier and that I am eating the foods that will heal and correct my body. And that out of this, I request a new light body. So you want to issue a request that you will receive a new light body. And that's what you're asking. Then you're saying, Father, I would request the immediate delivery of me, my new light body. A new program implemented for success in this area of bringing me my new light body. And what I would also receive is a new upgrade program that raises my frequency and awareness to closeness to God. That realization phase of us receiving the upgrade to self-awareness as experienced by the Christ will also be implanted in all of us at this time. If this frequency is just too high for some of you to reach right now, An upload such as this is only issued every 2,638 some odd years. So if you don't come now, you're going to have to be really, really good at waiting for another chance. That's a little humor there. I would further solicit, I would further petition for the reuniting of my whole soul coming together as one with God in the state of Israel, Isis Ra and El. Please eliminate the fear that has also been programmed. Please download the energy of peace and the energy of love so we can all come to know it. And lastly, to implement reverence, the reverence of God, gratitude for all his love, all his mercy upon us. We are truly loved by God. So as I write this down and I'm getting this information, all of a sudden I feel this wave come over me. It was like a whoa, and it was a wave of fear. And the worst thing was, it was like the worst fear I could ever feel came over me, and I could feel my body changing. It was like in my head, it was like a hurting, but an opening and tingling. And it was just like as if something in my mind and something in my head opened up that had never been opened up before, and it was open now. And the fear, the thought fear for me was, what if I died right now and I left my family? And that was the fear. It was huge upon me. The huge idea, the fear that I would die was huge. And I sat there and I felt my body move into that fear. And then when I'm in that low frequency, I'm thinking, all right, is there something wrong with me, and I better find out. So I went in and spoke to my husband and said, something's going on with me. I've become very disorientated. I'm having trouble speaking. I want to just close my eyes. But it was like a new program was being implemented in my brain, and I didn't know it. So I didn't receive the awareness from quantum field at that time that was happening. Instead, I practiced protocol, which is very common here. And so if you're not feeling good, you call an ambulance, and something's happening. I'm not able to sit up or speak properly or whatever. So you're thinking you're having a stroke or a heart attack, and that was not the case. We called the ambulance. They came in and took my vitals, and everything was great. My blood sugar, my heart rate, my brain activity, no sign of heart, no sign of stroke, nothing like that at all. And anyway, they started taking me on a ride to the hospital in the ambulance, and the first thing they were informing me was that I was suspected of having a certain current issue that everyone's coming into the hospital for. And right away, I became very, very conscious of what was happening to me. And I went in, they took me inside, and I quickly realized that sitting there, I had a decision that I could die here or go home and die. And then I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to die, I'm not afraid to die, because anything's better than sitting here and having to not breathe because of something. So I left. I walked out and I left. And then I went and sat down, and I waited for my husband to pick me up. And as I'm sitting there, I'm hearing the dawn upon. I'm hearing the information unfold to me in the quantum field, and it said, you just passed a test. You just went through the Lion's Gate, which is the courage to face death and not fear it, but trust your life to God. Trust your very life to God. And if he's going to take it, he will. And if he isn't going to take it, he won't. But to have the courage to face death and move beyond the fear of it, that was the test. That's the courage of a lion. Lion's Gate. And I went, oh my God, I just went through the Lion's Gate. I had just taken the last step to evolvement, to moving into that higher field, recognizing that once you lose your fear of death, like all great masters, they have no fear of dying, they have no fear of death, because you surrender your life and you say, okay, God, finally, this is my real test. And I knew, and I actually received a card. I don't use cards very much, but I got a Mary Magdalene card, which is my mirror. So I'm receiving this card, and the clue was a big decision, and the card says you're going to face a very big decision coming up. So I'm getting a forewarning, and this is another very important thing to make a scientific note of. When you are the observer and you are aware, you have the conscious awareness of what's going on, the little things, the incidents that come to you are all giving you clues. Everything that's happened to you is all giving you clues. You just have to sit and you have to listen to what you're receiving. And I'm sitting there and I receive the information that I just went through the Lion's Gate, through the portal. So this is a process I'm going through now, which is the final ascension state. And this is I'm going to ascend, and I'll take you with me. We'll all move into a higher level of conscious awareness. I go to prepare a place for you. This idea. Okay, now David's saying to me before we make any conclusions here, his advice and what he's telling everyone is that we have to work together. This isn't a matter, this is a time you think of coming together of religious people dropping their religious doctrines that choose to isolate us and make us separate. Let them all go and become one. Same with scientists. Let go of your pride and your ego and your job that you've had. And you're being the Pharisees. You're being the Sadducees when you are adhering to your dogma and what you've learned and what you know to such a degree. You're holding on to it so you can have importance. It's not about you. Move into the one, which means, all right, if I'm a contributing factor in the new world order, if I'm some scientist that's going to start have an open mind and move into higher work in the quantum field, I'm going to have to incorporate different ways of looking at things, which means I'm going to have to look at the string theory and move into higher dimensional frequencies to get the answer. This is why I was making a video for Simka Djokovic. I mean, I sound like an egotistical maniac. I'm standing there going, discover me. I'm inviting you to discover me. But he too, being an archaeologist, has to drop the idea that the only way he's gonna do and find what he wants is stick to what he knows and keep digging. Keep digging, yes, but go to dig in a different dimension. And how you accomplish that is you allow in ideas and thoughts from the quantum field. You don't shut your mind to what you're being guided to do. You listen to what you're being guided to do. And when you're open and you say, I want to be of service, I want to know more, I want to assist mankind in moving up into a higher frequency, a higher dimension, a higher way of knowing, a higher, better way of communicating. When you want to be one of those individuals, then you will be a front runner in the field of science, theology, archaeology, astronomy. Let's bring everybody in. That's what the Hebrews did when they were in Babylon. They were immersed in a culture and they all got together, say, hey, if we don't write down everything we know about our heritage, we'll get lost in this Babylonian culture where they worship 150 gods. We got to write down about our God. We got to write down all the facts so we don't lose it. So it's like, how smart is that? It's being able to, they incorporated all the advice from the astronomers, the historians, the theologians, everyone in their time. They got everybody's advice, and then that's how they wrote what they wrote, the first 5 books of the Bible. So this is how we're going to write our future in the quantum physics field, is the collaboration between fields. And I know this is what David, he says, yes, this is what David was shooting for very much at the end, and he was. And he himself had to branch out and go and move into a different relationship outside of the physicists and the scientists, because they wouldn't listen to him. They wouldn't go where he could go. They couldn't hear him. He was himself the God particle. That's how he can recognize it in me. The God particle are those particles that come from God, that are the 15% that cannot be hypnotized, that cannot be dissuaded, that are the ones that have been sent to us to help us figure this out and to lead us forward. He himself has come to me and said, Sandra, you're you're my greatest discovery. You're the God particle, and he wants people to study that, to come to understand it, so that we can teach one another in future times how it is that we can help each other move into that place of beauty. I'm hearing I went into Whole Foods the other day, met this wonderful young woman, and we just kept talking to each other, and finally the conversation opened up to good nutritious food, and I started telling her a bit about who I was, and within 15 minutes we were hugging each other, embracing one another, and I was saying I love you. In 15 minutes I knew I had so much love for her. Now how can that exist? How can those experiences really be out there? Well, they're out there for me. And because I'm the observer, and because I'm at that frequency, I will draw those experiences, I will draw those people to me. Because they are looking for God. They're looking for themselves. They're looking to touch and reconnect with that particle, to be in that vibrational field, to get a feel good, to get a up, to get a high, to go forward, to go and do what it is they're here to do. And this is how we're to help each other. Nikola Tesla, understand the universe. Start studying vibration, frequency, and energy. How does it work? We're the ones that conduct the energy. It's our field that we're able to exude this quantum energy of information. And it is the individual task to sit and listen if they are to connect with this quantum field at this time. And if they are, they'll be searching. They can't help it. They're drawn. And most great discoveries, as we know, are when someone has a mystical experience, they can't let it go. They just spend the rest of their life trying to figure out what happened to them. And that's what happened to me. So I'm so lucky that I get to encounter amazing people in the next dimension who I can speak to easily. The gifts that you receive when you reach higher frequencies and dimensions in the quantum field are incredible. It's so worth making an effort to move into those higher vibrational dimensions through awareness, through meditation. Meditate all the time, because you're still and you're listening. That's why you do it. You sit and you listen. And it's best if you can listen in nature. Well, that's how Einstein got his vision. Sitting there, at work, looks up. There's this guy painting across the street, and bang, he gets the vision. Now he spends the next how many years of his life trying to figure out what he saw and how to explain it to everybody. Hello, that's what I'm doing. I happen to be one of the people that has explored the realm of spirit, which is very rare. And therefore, when I come forward, and I'm coming forward as a scientist in my field, a field that's yet to be discovered and unrecognized. And I'm hoping my work, and I've just collected all my journals. I've been journaling and documenting my work since a long time, probably always. I think I've always documented. For sure I started when I started having kids in the 80s. And I know I journaled all my life before that. But my discoveries, my downloads, things that have happened to me are all written in my journals. And you want to know how we're connected? Here's one more proof. Here's one scientific proof, if you would like that. And you're led. See, if you can understand, you're led to one thing, one information source to another. You become the quantum wave. It's like the waves of quantum information are coming at you. And if you sit still, you can hear their guidance, and then it moves you into action. It moves that particle of you into action to find where it is you're to go and what you're to hear. Okay, so I'll just give this example here. So I'm sitting watching David, I believe it was David Wilcox. He's talking about the discoveries in the Arctic about Atlantis that's been buried underwater. And this woman was showing visions, pictures of a pyramid that was underneath the water in the Antarctic. And then they went on to show that there were drawings on the wall inside the cave. And inside the cave, the drawings on the wall, they were able to capture and show on film. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at them, and there's these drawings of like a spaceship in the middle, and then there's like circles here and a circle here and circles here. And I'm looking at these circles and I go, I know those circles. I know where those circles are from. And immediately I have been being told and guided over the last month to gather all my journals and my work up and put them in one spot so that they are available for anyone who chooses to use them to trace the journey, the process, the unfolding and folding of my journey. But what I was immediately led to a book, The Secret. It was the journal The Secret gave out. So here's The Secret. It's no mistake, it's in that book. Start to think like that. Start to realize that there's no coincidences. Everything's a clue, and it leads you from one to the next to the next. So if you're awake and you suspend your critical thinking and just go, okay, I'll play along. Sure. And you keep going, and that's the secret there, is suspend the critical thinking. So I opened the book, and here's the book of The Secret, and it opens right to the circles. The same circles that were on the walls in Atlantis underneath the pyramid were in my journal. And how they came to be is this. I recorded it in 2013. I was sitting up at my cottage by myself with my feet in the water on the shore. It was a beautiful clear sky, beautiful, like the sunset coming down, pink in the sky. And over here around 4 o'clock, there was two gray clouds that were obviously hanging there. I had the awareness came to me, oh, those are spaceships. And I said to myself, oh, come on now. And then you're going, no, just keep watching. And I did. And there was a wind. And the wind was blowing, and I'm sitting there having a drink, and I'm looking in the water, and I look up and I'm talking to them. It's like, I see you, I know you're there. And it looked like one of the people from the spaceship came up, and it looked like a dragon. And I went, okay, I see you there. I acknowledged them. I knew the observation was there, and I let it go. I wasn't in fear or worry, but I was just in awareness. I was observing. So that night, I go to bed, and I have a little white dog named Flicker, and I'm trying to settle down and go to sleep, and she's not settling down. And usually she'll roll up in a little ball at the end of the bed. Not tonight. She's sitting, she's panting, she's puffing, something's going on. She's not settling down at all. And I'm going, come on, Flick, go to sleep. I'm tired. Let's go. She's panting, not sleeping. I'm going, okay, something's up. So I take her outside, and she just stands, looks at me. Looks on the lawn, she's looking at me, and it was hot. And I thought, well, I'll put my feet in the water, and then thought, no, I'm just going to go skinny dipping. So moon's out, I go in the water, I have a skinny dip, I come back, I go to bed, and I'm lying down in my bed, and all of a sudden, I have the awareness of metal on water. I just knew there was metal on water. And then I had the feeling, and then it was a knowing of three beings coming up from the ship, up the walkway up to the cottage, and I could hear them, and I was about to go to bed and put my earplugs in and my CRP machine on or whatever, breathing machine, and I was just listening, and I could hear them approaching, and the next thing I knew, it was like someone took my life force and unplugged it, and I went black. I went instantly to black. It was like hearing them, all I saw was black. And the knowing was someone unplugged my cord. I went to black. And the next conscious moment I had, I was sitting up and I was going, I can't hear the waves. And at that point, my machine was on and my earplugs were in. And then I went, oh, I took out the earplugs. Then I could hear the waves. And I'm looking around and I go, what was that? Something happened to me. I know something just happened to me. And then I did go to sleep that night. And then the next day I said, I know for sure if that was an alien spaceship and I was being contacted with them, I know for sure that they would leave a calling card. I kept hearing calling card. And I went, okay. And I think it wasn't that day It was the very next day when I went into the kitchen to make breakfast. The sunlight had to be coming through the screen of the kitchen so I could see it. And on the top right corner of the screen, right up there, were 4 perfect circles, like 4 of them together, 1, 2, 3, 4, and round, with the dot in the middle, all perfect. And I went, that's it. That's the affirmation that I've been visited by these beings. I knew it. It's just a knowing, and I didn't argue with it. And so I wrote that in my book. And then when I went to record it in my journals, the strange thing was that they spoke to me then and said to me that the reason that they came to me was to help to heal my body. And that the information they wanted me to know was that, I should be reading this word for word, verbatim, shouldn't I? It's in my journals, but it's basically, it was saying that you are a very important person on the planet. God has chosen to speak through you. And God will be choosing to speak through you. This is quite an honor. And people will come and worship you. And we hope that this is okay, that you'll let them worship you, because it's not you, it's God they're worshiping. And hopefully you're going to be okay with this, because this is a real honor. And that's what they told me was going to happen. And I went, okay. But I write stuff and then I don't dwell on it. I don't make a big deal out of it. I just know enough that I'm always given so much more information. I just keep recording it. So that incident of watching David Wilcox and seeing the pictures on the caves of Atlantis and knowing immediately, the immediate knowing was given to me, the potential, the quantum message was given to me, and I went in, the book opened instantly to what I was looking for. Imagine picking up the right, out of 35, 40 journals, picking the right book up exactly, opening it to the page, and there were the pictures. So it's like you're being shown, this is important information, we've got it, you've written it, it's all laid out, now this is what's happening. And that was the validation, was seeing it. So my contribution in Atlantis and the beings that were present there have come forward in 2013 and have given me this information. Now it's 2020. So it is a part of a quantum experience an experience in the quantum field. It is the information unfolding into me to the point where I was given it then, but it's taken 7 years for me to be able to go back, access what I wrote, and integrate it and speak about it. Like, I was meant to find it because it's information for now. And the folding and unfolding process into wholeness is that you get information and then you integrate it and you get more and you integrate it until you finally reach the summit, which allows you full recognition of who you are in the plasma, of who you are in the particles, that you're part of the God particles from which all particles have come. As long as I have the conscious awareness it's time to ascend, then it will be an ascension for us all. Because everything happens to all of us, but it happens through one of us first. The God particles, the first to receive the awareness and the first to receive the experience, and have the courage to let it transpire without trying to block it. And that's where I'm reaching into my courage today to be able to make this presentation. It's funny, last night I watched The Wizard of Oz. It was the first movie I ever watched and was introduced to as a child, and I'm lucky to have been in that time where that was the case for me. And that was the first movie, and it moved me deeply, and it served me all my life, and it really is the story of what's happening to us all here. It really is the proof of what it is that we need to do to follow our journey, is to have courage, to have heart, to use our brains, to follow our path and our journey to God Creator, and to be able to download those affirmations. And I'm hearing, feel free to add whatever programs you'd like to also download for you, the benefit of mankind, that you receive them now, and that we receive our light body together. David, have I left anything out? You just wanted to mention that he each wants to give gratitude to his spiritual teacher, the one he'd established. Charismati, Krishnamurti. Sorry, Krishnamurti. Sorry about that. Krishnamurti. He wishes to acknowledge and give thanks to Krishnamurti, because without his coupling, without him finding his twin God particle and mirror reflection in him, he would not have been able to make the discoveries that he has made. And it was because he stepped out of his field that he was able to make these scientific discoveries and develop these theories, because of his influence. And he urges other science, like-minded people, physicists, quantum physicists, all those in the science, to drop your barriers and go out and learn as much as you can, because the quantum experience is just that. It's the experience of being in the quantum field and having the awareness of it. And all of that you seek, you are, because you can seek nothing more. So me being that God particle, I could only seek out the God in others. I could only see the God in others, because I unfolded into seeing the God in myself. Giving thanks to Joe L. Goldsmith. I started studying his works 5 years ago. I probably read the books out of order, but heck, it was harder and harder and harder to understand it. But the more I read, the more I kept at it, the more I started to understand it. And coming into the awareness, John 10:30, I and my Father are one. I and my Father are one. And once you understand and come into the full awareness that it's not you that's here, but God is living and experiencing his creation through you, that the thoughts you think and allow choose the good ones, because they'll make you into a God being, a good being. Choose to think good thoughts, and always ask for God thoughts to come into your head. I ask God in every day, enter in, and when I say that, the weight of the infinite invisible comes in my head, and my grace is upon you from now until the end of all time and for all of eternity, to which there is no end. So every day he affirms, we go on and on and on, and we will. Well, I hope this has been of service, and very pleased I was able to state everything that is going on and what is happening for me now. Happy Ascension. If people are going to ascend, we'll wait and see. Maybe I just went through the gate yesterday. Tomorrow's 8/8, August 8/8/2020. I was actually, my husband proposed to me on August 8th, 8th month, 8th day in 1980. We were married on Valentine's Day. And so, and then my experience with Christ was he came into the full realization that he actually was the mirror to me and the other half of my quantum particle in 2014, where he made one single entry into a journal, which was the recognition that he was the Christ energy, and he came into that realization on August 8th, 8th month, 8th day, 2014. So it does all line up, and when we start to put the clues together and understand how astrology and our timelines all are working together to help us all figure out this great mystery that we find ourselves in, I would encourage you to open your mind. I would encourage you to drop barriers and finding reasons why we're separate, and then look to one another and see how we're just the same here, all working together to honor our Creator and acknowledge His beautiful gift to us, which is one another. To be able to hug, to be able to kiss, to be able to find love, find that love energy. I've been being visited by Albert Einstein too. He's been coming through off and on. His poster's on my bathroom door, so every time I have a bath, Albert and I have a little discussion. But his late works that he was working on, that he is yet to disclose and might come out soon, we're on love and the vibrational frequency of love. And that is what lifts you to God, is being in the vibrations of happiness, love, joy, bliss, pleasure, laughter, sex. Those high frequencies will take you into love, and producing and sending love out to the planet through meditation, through sex, through the feminine orgasm. Please look into the secrets of Ochos, the Book of Secrets. There's lots to be learned from different fields on how to obtain that height of vibrational frequency and the causes that it has to awaken everyone on the planet. So much more work to be done, lots to learn, and I would encourage any of you who are former yoga teachers, turned author, housewife, who could never find anyone else except one time for a year to play in her kingdom, and to know and search out the higher realms. My friend was a doctor of metaphysics, and the two of us were able to move into the quantum field where we actually moved beyond time, space, dimension, and we were able to first of all teleport. I was able to leave my body and go to the pyramids in Mexico and shine out the Shekinah ash light up through the top of the pyramid in Mexico, Chichen Itza. We were able to access our angel wings. The wings were actually able to make themselves known. We were able to be visited by aliens and other beings. We were able to speak to people who had passed and died. We were able to, I think the greatest discovery that we made, one of them was that we were able to discover the fountain of youth. We were able to get younger every time we came together in the company of God. Our vibration reached such levels that we got younger, 20, 30, 40 years younger in each other's presence. We physically transformed. That was a huge discovery, one of my favorite ones. I'm most proud of that. And the greatest thing that to experience the Kundalini frequency moving up through the spine, being visited by our whole self. The Michael of Nebanon energy entered in one day, and we were told it was coming, and when it came to us, we literally were, the force of it was so strong, it actually pushed us down on the bed, and we were receiving such downloads of energy we couldn't move. We were holding onto each other for dear life. We were receiving so many downloads. And then I believe there's so many things that I could say and that are all in my story, but I loved, was able to we were able to reach such frequencies of love that Dave was able to transcend ahead of me. And so he's already made his transition, and it's taken me 6 years to catch up. And yeah, my job was to love him to God, and I did that. And then being the other half of the God particle, I believe my job was to love God's children, love my children, and help them to know that they're guided, they're loved, they're looked after, and that when they do their ascension, when they cross over, I'll be there waiting, saying, hey, you made it. You figured it out. Here's your dad. And there's Jesus. He'll be right there beside me, and we'll be welcoming you home. And this is the face. This is the face that you'll see when you make that transition. So I wanted you to see it so you'll recognize me. I'm your mom. Yeah, so when it's time, come home. We're waiting for you. And there's a place for you. And you're watching this and hearing this. Because you're meant to. Thanks for listening. And thanks to David Bohm. Most welcome, he says. He's smiling. He's a modest man, eh? All is well. Thank you.